right, it is that time once again. Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. This is the Awesemo.com betting show, NFL Best Bets. We're going to get into college basketball. As you can see, I am Ben Rasa, here with Julian Edlow, as I always am. And as I always ask, Julian, happy Friday. How are you, sir?
Happy Friday. I'm doing well. As I just said to you, I don't even know. I'm going to give some college basketball plays on this show because I have them. I have a spot that I like each day through the weekend, and I'm going to give them. But college basketball is so freaking tough right now. If I just sat back and waited and was patient with the NBA player props, it would be a much better week. But nonetheless, it has still been a good week. How about you, sir?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. MMA being on Wednesday threw off everything for me. I got down that
one. I didn't even know that happened.
Yeah, see, there you go. It was a double dose of MMA. We've got more coming up, and we've got a sweet promo, which I'll talk about during the show because we've got some very sharp MMA minds. I am not one of them, though. Anyway, got college basketball. You've mentioned NBA team totals, player props as well. I've seen you found the formula with Grant. Apparently, that's the ticket each and every night.
There is no formula. You just bet it.
Just bet it and print, which is what we need. But yeah, college basketball, I mean, listen, there's ebbs and flows. There's a lot of games every day. There's a lot of teams that haven't played for weeks on end sometimes. I was in a really nice groove. Now I've stalled a bit, kind of eking it out. But we've got some interesting games tonight, and that's where I want to start. We're going to get to the AFC Championship game, the NFC Championship game in a second. But we've got, obviously, a lot of made-up teams. And then there's just, Michigan and Purdue, Friday night, Big Ten battle. Michigan's atop that conference, and they are up to 4.5-point favorite. It was 2.5 last night. What do you make of that game? Because that's obviously the marquee game on the slate.
Yeah, I saw the look-ahead line opening up at 2.5 on whenever it was, like Thursday morning it came out. And it was short. And I'm like, this is a trap. It has to be a trap. Everybody knows it's a trap. But I'm going to bet it. So I was able to lock it last night at 3. I've been planning to write it up today. Obviously, the value's a little bit gone. I'm still going to write it up because I think this is one that if it opened Michigan 5.5, nobody would have batted an eye. It might get there. Like you said, it's 4.5 now. It's 9 a.m. right now. I saw it at 8:30 at 3.5. So people are just kind of waking up and seeing that and saying, why is Michigan such a short favorite and betting it? So it's a square side. I think it's the right side. Michigan is really good. They just had, normally I would say maybe this is that, if they were still undefeated, maybe this is that letdown spot, but they just got absolutely walloped going to Minnesota, which was a team they handled, and bounced back very strong against
Maryland.
Who did they play this week? Maryland. Maryland was awful in that game. So now they're on the road, which makes things tougher in the Big Ten, of course, but Michigan's so good. I'm going to write the game up. I'm comfortable with it at 4.5. You obviously missed some value, but sometimes if it's the right play, you got to take it. But I think the first half is still -2, and they've been getting out to monster, they're front runners. They get out and they get a lead. So I think playing the first half at -2, if you don't feel like laying the 4.5, you got to get the 5-point win. I think that the 2 in the first half is a very attractive play as well.
Michigan, yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. They're just good. And you mentioned I had been waiting kind of to find that spot, maybe a letdown spot, and it was Minnesota, and I was happy about that. Then they responded as I think a great team would, crushed Maryland, and now they're here. I will say, I wish I got this at 2.5, of course. I'm not sure I'm going to play it at 4.5. I am going to play the under, though. It's 138. Michigan's defense is stifling, and I do think that Purdue will do a good enough job to limit the 3-pointers. Obviously, Michigan can get crazy hot from behind the arc. They were terrible against Minnesota. One of the many reasons they lost that game, 6-22. To me, this game is played in the 60s, not the 70s. I do think Michigan probably wins the game. But if I had to take a position, I think it's pretty methodical. I'm not going to lie. Purdue's played. It's been a weird schedule. 3 of their last 4 on the road. They're playing better. They stole a game against Michigan State they shouldn't have won. I think they're a pretty good team. I just don't think they're in Michigan's caliber when all is said and done.
What do you think about the first half?
Yeah,
Because
I
Purdue's
wouldn't
kind of
mind that.
grinded some games to come back, whereas Michigan gets off to the hot starts.
They do. Michigan's just like I said. I've been, I guess, pleasantly surprised because I do like them. They're a lot better than I thought. They're very balanced. They're top 10 in offensive and defensive efficiency per Ken Palm. Not many teams fit that. Just a very balanced attack. So you've got that going. I do, you know, looking around though, is there anything? I mean, the drop off from the best game of the day to the second best game of the day is absolutely massive.
What is the
Um,
second best game of the day? One of your Dixie State games?
Dixie State is playing tonight. They play Grand Canyon, who is actually very good. The Antelopes. I don't think I'll be betting that game. It's a lot of, you've got the Big West playing. You've got like the Horizon League, it looks like, is going. I don't see a ton, to be honest. I think Wisconsin Green Bay is kind of interesting. They play IPFW, the Mastodons. You don't want to be betting on the Mastodons.
College basketball is so tough right now. I'm trying to hone in and pick, first of all, bet on good teams like Michigan. Sounds stupid, but like, I don't know which one. I played
that excludes me then, because I only bet on bad.
Yeah, correct. Although I backed Iowa on the team total last night, and oh my God. So I'm just sticking to Michigan, but I do, if we want to touch on the weekend a little bit, I do have some look aheads, I guess, that we can get into. Do you have anything first on Friday that you want to give out?
So, like I said, it's really not a great card by any stretch. In our premium Slack, as I break down these games more, may see some spots that I'm willing to look at. But I do think one of the things in college basketball you have to resist is just, oh, this is interesting, I'm going to fire. You'll be betting 20 games a day, and we all know that is not the recipe for success. So I would caution people from doing that. I will say the one spot that is just a little intriguing is, again, Wisconsin Green Bay, who's a bad team. They're 3-11 on the year. They're a 1-point dog at home. The game is going to be very fast paced. These teams like to get up and down. I think that plays into their style. But you're talking about two teams that I would venture to say that none of us have seen a ton of in IPFW and Wisconsin Green Bay. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on that. Are there marquee games on are there marquee games on Saturday that you're looking to?
There are some good games. Baylor, Gonzaga, Virginia, Villanova all play. Houston plays. Tennessee plays, although I'm not convinced they're good.
Yeah, that was bad.
Here's who does play. Alabama. And Alabama absolutely crushes people in the SEC right now. The one game that they didn't cover was a push. And it was against Auburn +4, which I think speaks to how well Auburn's playing. Auburn is 3-0-1 against the spread with Sharif Cooper in there. I'm kind of into the SEC right now for betting games. Like Michigan, Baylor, Gonzaga, like those are good teams that we're saying that I'll back in certain ways. I think the SEC is a good place to look right now. I'm really curious what the Alabama line is going to be against Mississippi State. It's probably going to be big because they're coming off a 30-point win at LSU. But the way Bama's clicking right now, that's one that I want to look at. And just in terms of futures, like I hadn't watched that much of Tennessee getting smoked like that by Florida without several key players on the Gators. That was kind of eye-opening for me. I didn't realize they were quite that vulnerable. They don't really have a go-to scorer. Kentucky stinks. What else is going on in the SEC? So this was +700 the other night, and it went down after the big LSU win. But I took Alabama at +500 to win the SEC, and that's to the tournament. Which is weird to bet on now, but like I think by the time we get that, like when that tournament starts and I have that +500 ticket, I think I'm going to be very happy about it compared to what those odds are going to look like. And then if something happens in the tournament or they're not playing quite as well at that time, I think they'll go deep enough in it that, at a +500, you'll be able to hedge out. So that's, giving out college basketball tournament futures in the middle of January isn't all that popular, but I think getting some money in on Alabama is very well worth it. Last I looked, they were plus 650 to make the Final Four, I think, which might give you some hedging opportunities. I don't know. I like the SEC bet. I think that's. I mean, I already placed it, so I'm telling you, I like it.
I appreciate a friend of all the shows. Appreciate the super chat with the Kevin Stadler mentioned. He's actually on the links this week, shooting, I believe, many over par as he always is. But to wrap up college basketball, we'll see. I have not seen a lot of Alabama. Obviously, I've seen the scores. Creighton plays tomorrow. I do want to say, and this is shocking, but I had to look it up. Creighton is 10-4. I have bet them in all 4 games that they have lost. That is a true thing. I'm not just saying that. Bet them the other day. They blew another one with free throws. Shout out to Winthrop. That's my last thing. Winthrop, 15-0. Don't sleep on the Eagles. There's a couple teams lurking out there like that. We'll see how good they are. But again, college basketball, it's going to be a day-by-day thing. It's one of the many reasons you should hop in our premium Slack, even if it's just for a week. That's one of the many perks. You obviously get all the DFS knowledge and whatnot, but you also get premium Slack, and we're dropping a lot of bets in there and capturing some value. But you know what? Enough of this. Let's get to
I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna do one more thing. I looked ahead to Saturday. I'm gonna look ahead to Sunday.
Oh my
God!
Might
be dumb. This game wasn't even supposed to happen. URI had a George Mason or George Washington game canceled. I bet URI on Wednesday, and they were up 17 against an awful Duquesne team and lost outright. Now, because of their game getting canceled, now they're going to schedule Fordham at home on Sunday, it looks like. If there's a bounce back spot from losing to Duquesne, it's Fordham playing in Rhode Island, because Fordham is brutal. Fordham lost to Duquesne when Duquesne scored 48 points. If Rhode Island bounces, it's probably going to be a big number, but if Rhode Island bounces back, maybe you look first half, because they need to come out firing after their worst half of the season. So URI on Sunday is going to be a spot that I'm looking at.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're both A10 people. Fordham is awful. Yep. They got the Bronx Zoo by the campus. That's literally the only good thing. That basketball team has seen better days. So, wow, the rare look ahead to Sunday.
I told you I don't want to. I'm not betting 5 college basketball games Friday night. I give you one Friday, one Saturday, one Sunday. Keep it simple, organized, strong spots.
Boom. And that's what we do here. And it's a perfect segue to Sunday, which I can guarantee you that no one will be paying attention to Fordham and Rhode Island, because we've got the AFC and the NFC championship games, the best doubleheader every year. Obviously, this is it. 4 teams left: Chiefs, Bills, Bucks, Packers. I have major rooting interests in both, but more importantly than that, we may have major betting interest in both. So let's start with the AFC championship game. The Bills did their job. Very impressive. They handled Lamar. The Ravens looked awful. Credit to them. Chiefs, I don't know what you make of that. They held on, even though I don't know how, they were pushed without really being pushed. And of course, we all know the Mahomes situation. So I guess we'll start there. I know you're not a doctor, but I assume you think he's going to play, right?
Yeah, I'm going to break some news here on the show. Patrick Mahomes is playing.
That's why you
confirm that. There's no way he's sitting out this game. It's not happening. He's going to be on the field. Now, I hope Mahomes' long-term health with like his head and everything is okay. We all do. I'm not worried about his concussion on Sunday. I'm worried about the turf toe, ankle, whatever's going on that we saw before he went down was hobbling him a little. Now, he also had a rushing touchdown, and he's probably going to hang in there and make the plays. But you combine the concussion and the foot stuff, and, everybody's always one hit away from getting knocked out of the game. But Mahomes is a little more susceptible to being knocked out of this game, which makes me a little uneasy. But you're on the Bills in this game, I assume. Everybody loves the Bills. The Bills really showed up last week and made all of us Ravens backers look silly. all the numbers point to the Bills, and the Bills are almost becoming like a public side because of the Mahomes situation. All right. So I have Kansas City futures to win the AFC and to win the Super Bowl. So I don't even need to bet the game. If I did, I would bet Kansas City -3. I'm going against the numbers. I'm going against the trends. I'm going against the healthier, hotter team. Simply because I don't know if the Bills are ready for this moment. They've been ready for the playoff moments. We remember Josh Allen's huge mistake in Houston last year in the playoffs, choking that game away. He almost did that in the first round against Indy. He had that massive fumble trying to stay up late in the game, and his offensive lineman recovered it. If that goes the other way, Indy might win that game. I'm not convinced that the moment's not going to be too big for Josh Allen in this offense against the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs have an underrated secondary that isn't going to stop, but can contain Stephon Diggs, who's the key to this offense. Diggs had, I think, it was either 6 or 7 catches for something in the 40s in the yards in that game in Buffalo. It was a weird Monday afternoon game in the rain, but nonetheless, that was in Buffalo. This one's going to be in Arrowhead with fans, hostile environment to a degree. I don't have numbers to back why I like the Chiefs. The numbers point to the Bills. I just think we're getting a little bit of a discount on the best team in the NFL in this spot because of a combination of things, and I'm riding with the team that overall has been better.
Yeah, they are quite good. I mean, so I'll say this, just like you, of course, we hope Mahomes is all right long term, but when he went down and he got up, I didn't think he had a concussion. I thought it was his leg. And then when it was a concussion, honestly, I'm sure the Chiefs were somewhat relieved, because if it was his leg, I don't know if we would have seen him. And that could have been a serious problem. With a concussion, I say this all the time, it's somewhat binary. You either can play or you can't. You're not going to be limited with a concussion. So if he's good to go, I'm interested to see what the leg does. If his mobility, not that he's Lamar, obviously, but his timely scrambling is a huge asset. Those weird option plays, huge asset. I want to see what's up with him. Edwards-Helaire, Breeland got a concussion in that game. I think that's a key piece for the Chiefs. They're the Chiefs, though. They are in Arrowhead. It's going to be very difficult. But then I do want to give Buffalo, I don't think people realize, since that Chiefs game, when they lost in the rain, that was in week 6, they have rattled off 9 out of 10 wins, and the game they lost was the DeAndre Hopkins Hail Mary. They've been killing teams. They've won 6 straight games by double digits. I know it's a big step up, and this is the Chiefs, but the Bills really have done. I guess I'll say this: there is nothing the Bills could have done to change your mind. It feels like, because they have done everything that you could ask a team, including rolling over what I thought was a better team in Baltimore.
Absolutely. The Bills have taken down everything in front of them, and their only loss is one fluke play, and they still covered that game. So it's really tough you can't pick a hole in the Bills. I just think that the Chiefs are better and they'll get it done. But I feel much more confident, I think, on the NFC side of things. It wouldn't shock me at all if Buffalo's in the Super Bowl. I won't be, adding to my position on Kansas City here because it's like a shorter number than the look-ahead line or anything. I just have some slight plus money on Kansas City to win the AFC. I'm not going to hedge it at all at any Buffalo but this is going to be a good game. It's going to be a tight game. It's going to be a game, to get the best out of it, we need Mahomes to not be 100%, but he needs to be 80, 90%, and he needs to play the whole game.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, and I want to
anything won't be possible 2 weeks in a row.
No, it won't. And friend of the show, Justin in chat, 31-27 Kansas City. That's very reasonable. I can't push back on that at all. I do want to dive into the player props before we move to the Tundra in Lambeau, because we've got a lot to break down here and we've got the time. So, of course, there's everything that you could really ask for in terms of props. You go to Odd Shopper, you can shop those names, find the lines. The first one that stands out to me is Tyreek Hill. and it's his receptions prop. It's at 5.5. It is juiced to the over, but only minus 128. To me, that's a spot right there. Tyreek Hill is one of those players. I feel like he gets 2 or 3 receptions that are auto receptions on either screens or pop passes. So now you're saying, can he just catch a couple balls? Against Cleveland, 10 targets, 8 receptions. I think he sees that again. I know Tre'Davious White is a good player, but the way they get Tyreek the ball, to me, this is a pretty easy spot to start your prop card with.
I like that because you know that they're gonna make ways to get Hill the ball.
That you can't stop.
That's right. That's gonna start with, like you said, a baseline of a few catches, which gets you halfway there. I like the receptions prop on Hill a little bit more than the yards, I would say.
Same.
On the flip side, I like Travis Kelce's yards more than his receptions. I like Travis Kelce. It's 94.5. But Buffalo in that game against Phillip Rivers, they gave up 14 receptions and well over 100 yards to Phillip Rivers' trio of trash tight ends, Mo Alley, Cox, Jack Doyle. Like, Kelce's going to figure it out in this game. The other thing I like, and I don't want to handicap for this too much. I kind of hate it. But if Mahomes does miss any snaps, getting the ball to Travis Kelce is much more manageable for Chad Henne than bombing it to Tyreek Hill. He actually hit his over last week, which I wrote up on Awesemo, on a pass from Henne. He was just shy of his yardage when he went out of the game. It might be an either or for me. I might play Kelce's also like minus 120, minus 125 to score, which seems pretty low considering the season that he had. But setting the tight end yardage record, like the yards are safe. Last week we had an odds boost on draft from my podcast, Unreasonable Odds. It was our first ever odds boost. I was really excited about it. It was Lamar Jackson to rush for 100 yards. It got absolutely stomped. But we're doing it again this week. We're going to have Travis Kelce 100 yards receiving and to score.
Okay.
So there's going to be an odds boost on that on DraftKings. I'll have it on Twitter. Keep an eye out for it. I'll be betting that. But individually, I'm going to be either on Kelce over 94.5 yards and or Kelce to score.
So everything you just said, it makes perfect sense. First of all, Travis Kelce's unstoppable. And second of all, the Bills are rough. But I am going to just say I am a bitter person who rostered basically 100% Mark Andrews last week. I don't understand how they couldn't exploit this in Baltimore.
He had 11 targets, I think.
I know. Oh, I know. It was there, and it just didn't materialize. And I do think that Kelce will not be held down. I don't worry. I'm not going to plan for Henne either, but I will say for both of the props we just mentioned, if Henne does come in, Kelce's going to remain busy, and Tyreek Hill is going to get short passes, and they're going to let him run. I don't worry about his receptions prop where it's like, oh, they lose Mahomes, it's completely over. I don't think that's going to happen. I'd be stunned. And even if it did, Tyreek Hill, like I said, they can get him the ball if they want to. They'll give him a pop pass. They'll give him a 1 yard, that how they won the game on 4th and inches. That play is virtually unstoppable. So at 5.5 receptions, Kelce seems like a favorite to go over the century mark, to be honest. I don't mind that. On the other side, it's, I think, a lot tougher to attack, even though, like I said, I do think the Bills can and will. I'm going to say they will win the game. I don't love it, but I'm going to take a stand. I got to go down with the ship. Diggs' receptions is 7.5. John Brown, 4.5. I don't really love that. Singletary, 2.5. Is there anything that you see in the Bills player props that is interesting to you?
Not really. I want to find something. I've been looking for something, but I don't really like Singletary being the only back. Like, cool, but they didn't even use him against Baltimore. They just literally passed the ball until the game was done. I don't think I'm going to back anything on the Buffalo side. Obviously they want to keep Stephon Diggs as involved as possible, but that was limited at the last time these two teams matched up. So I'm not necessarily confident there. I'm going to definitely play a Kelce prop, maybe multiple, and maybe a Tyreek Hill. But I think that'll be it for props for me in that one.
So I got one, and again, do I think this has to be on your card? Definitely not, but this is more of a general rule for me with guys like this. In a game where, I mean, it's beyond all hands on deck, Josh Allen rushing, it's 31 and a half. He's going to have to move. If they're down, he's going to be running all over the place. If they're up, it could be because he does that. I don't mind taking a spot like that, or even taking him to score. He is a guy that in the red zone at times can get it done by running one in. So again, 31 and a half at minus 111. I think you could do worse. Does it need to be on your card? Definitely not, but it wouldn't stun me to see him have, 8 or 9 carries for 40 yards in a loss or in a win. This is a game they're going to need every type of way to exploit this Chiefs defense.
It's honestly not like if you're somebody sitting in a position like me that's already, my mind is made for me. I'm already invested in Kansas City from weeks ago. It's not a bad somewhat hedge on Buffalo, and you can also win it in a, Chiefs win by 10 and Allen's scrambling around and you get them both. So it's
absolutely,
I don't know that I might consider that, because if Kansas City does go down, Allen would likely have a good game, and it's, you can set the game script both ways on it.
I mean, yeah, just look at, and then we'll move on. Against Baltimore, he had 3 yards rushing, and part of that was they did a good job against him. The other part was he didn't need to run. You don't need to run if you're controlling the game.
Right.
If it gets back and forth, I could see him, he's going to have to possibly run. So,
well, yeah, I think we can all agree there's no chance that Kansas City pulls a Baltimore and scores 3 points in this game. So
we're going to put that on the board.
Make Allen have to run a little bit.
Yeah, and in the first matchup, I know that was a long time ago. It was in the rain. 8 carries, 42 yards. That is exactly kind of how I envision it again. So, all right. So now we've got one Super Bowl team in. We've got the Bills. Who will the Bills be playing in the Super Bowl? As much as I want Josh Allen in there, more important to me is the NFC Championship game. We've got Tommy Boy, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers going in Lambeau. Bucks, Packers minus 3, 51.5 point total. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let's start with Tampa. So they had to play the team. Can you beat them 3 times? Drew Brees I don't know if he was hurt still or he's just
Drew
done.
Brees lost the game.
They should have went with Jameis. Not like the Monday morning quarterback. It was just clear that Drew Brees was not himself, or he's just not there anymore. The Saints defense, what do you want them to do? They were given no chance, and credit to the Bucks, they took advantage of all the turnovers.
Yeah, that was, we've talked about it all year that I have, investments in Tampa. I got the good numbers right before the Brady news broke, so I did hedge some with some Saints money line last week. I thought the Saints were going to win. So I hedged rather heavily on it because I also thought it was the right side, and it obviously was not because of Drew Brees. Now, this week, I have a pretty strong stance again. I like Green Bay, and we can get into why. However, I have Tampa plus 1,800 in the NFC. I have Tampa plus 3,300 to win the Super Bowl. And the only other NFC future that I took out was Green Bay a little while back at plus 200 to win the NFC. So, I'm good here, but I'm probably going to bet Green Bay because I think that, again, just like the Saints, I think Green Bay is the right side in this game. And I also have the big numbers on Tampa to just kind of keep hedging at this point. That game, the mistakes that the Saints made, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to make those mistakes at home and give Tampa what it got. Those short fields in a dome indoors. The easy thing here is Brady is going into a weather game, and it's just, this is not like, can the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play at Lambeau? You got Brady going, and he's done this a million times. But he has regressed a little with old age in these Foxborough weather games as his career progressed. Is he going to be a puddle like Drew Brees was last game? No. But Brady almost made a huge mistake late in that game, that interception that was dropped. The camera zoomed in on him. He said, awful bleeping throw, or whatever he said, dumb bleeping throw. Rodgers doesn't throw interceptions. The one bad game that Green Bay had this season was a 38-10 loss in Tampa Bay. That's not going to happen again. He threw a pick six in that game. He threw a near second pick six. Had he thrown a second pick six, that would have doubled his career pick sixes in one game. Rodgers doesn't do that, and he's not going to do that in this game. Rodgers covers at home. They're going to put up points. I can't talk myself out of Green Bay in this game. I'm going to add to them. I really think that it is the right side. I think that the rest of the Buccaneers perhaps are affected in a cold, snowy weather game, if that's what it turns out to be, even if Brady's able to keep his composure.
Yeah, I mean, Tampa going into Lambeau is not good. I know it's not going to affect Brady, but there's that's a thing. It's not going to be freezing, unfortunately. It's going to be just generically cold. But this is just a tough spot. I guess the question I want to pose is, do you think it matters at all that Tampa dismantled them, or do you just think that means nothing in a game like this? I mean, because they dismantled the Packers. No one has done that except Tampa.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think it's an outlier. I think that Rodgers got down big in that game and started going for the home runs. And you look at last week, he took everything that was, the Rams defense is fantastic. And he just took everything that was in front of him, 10, 12, 15 play drives, and turned them into scoring drives. Whereas that Tampa game, once he went down, he was just hucking it downfield and it wasn't working. I don't even remember the second point I was going to make. I don't think it matters. Oh, the second point I was going to make is we sat here last week and said, do the Saints just have the Bucs number? They've dominated them twice this season. We both were like, yeah, they probably do. We like the Saints. And look what Tampa does. Comes out and wins that game. So, no, don't think it matters.
Yeah. And just to speak to the other side of that, even though I definitely was on that wavelength, it wasn't because I know this sounds kind of silly, but it's not like, oh, well, the Saints just crushed them in that second matchup. They're going to do that. Those games, it's the NFL. And we see this every day in college basketball. They play back-to-back. Team wins by 25. Michigan beat Minnesota by 25, then they lost by 25 a couple days later. It happens. I don't take much from a game that was months ago. Green Bay is just firing on all cylinders. I guess my question now is to dig into the game itself. Nobody can run on Tampa. You've got Aaron Jones rushing props sitting at 62.5 at some places. What do you think they try to employ? Do you think they just do what they do? Do you think they just lean? I mean, Davante Adams is unstoppable, as we saw against Ramsey. He's another guy. Doesn't matter. They'll get him the ball. Or do you think they will have some success on the ground?
It's a good question. I think that they have to at least try the ground game and see what they can get out of it. Let me see. How did Aaron Jones do in that? Probably awful in that first.
Well, yeah.
At Tampa, he had 10 carries for 15 yards. I mean, the blowout factor as well. So the thing with Jones, I bet him to minus 105 to score last week. And he got there, but a lot of work was going to Jamal Williams on the goal line. Dylan's getting mixed in. Other running backs are going to get touches, and this is a good run defense. So I would lean under, but I don't know if I necessarily am going to take it because I do really like the Packers here at home. So I don't know if I'm going to fade the home running back favorite on the rushing prop, even against Tampa. But that said, you want to hear something crazy? Here's Davante Adams has played now in 14 regular season games and 1 playoff game, 15 total games. 6 times he's scored the first touchdown in the game. He is 6-9 to the first touchdown, which 6-9 record. Oh, not good. But these are plus 5, 6, 700 bets, plus 28 units if you bet every Packers game Davante Adams played in first touchdown. Even in the red zone, we saw it last week on the 1-2 yard line, they find ways to get Davante Adams the ball.
Yes. And that was, first of all, that's insane. Of those 28 units, I've collected exactly 0 of them this year.
Same.
Should have been doing that. The one thing I did collect, though, last week, and I'm going to do it again this week, everyone was really worried about Jalen Ramsey. The receptions prop for Devontae Adams was 6.5. I went there immediately because just like what I said with Tyreek Hill, yes, great corner. But if they want to get Devontae Adams the ball, they will get it to him on a 1-yard pass, on a screen. That play on the goal line is unstoppable. 10 targets, 9 receptions. His prop this week is 7.5 plus 100 to the over. I will be going there. I do not think that Green Bay, if they are winning, can run the ball consistently. If they are losing, they won't try to run the ball. Devontae Adams is going to have north of 10 targets. If he has north of 10 targets, I think he will have north of 7.5 catches. Going to keep riding that to the wheels fall off. He's too good. And Tampa's secondary, I think it was a product more of Michael Thomas just being clearly injured than actually shutting him down. Traquan was going wild. So I don't worry about that.
I'm with you. And you look at it the way that you put it, if Green Bay wants to get Adams the ball, they'll get him the ball no matter who's on the other side. That's exactly what it was against Ramsey because Adams only had 66 yards. But he had 9 receptions on 10 targets. So that's getting him the ball. That's 7.3 yards per reception. That's not much, especially for a guy like Adams who you just scroll through. He's had games, 15, 16, 17 yards per reception. That's just force feeding him the ball. And then obviously the 19 touchdowns in 15 games, like he's in the minus 175 neighborhood to score anytime. I might just lay it there as well as the receptions. And then I'm going to sprinkle on the first touchdown score. And obviously it's not going to happen.
No.
I will put an end to that streak, but how can you not at this point with just how the Packers look to get him the ball? Tampa's also, I know they scored they didn't score the first touchdown. Yeah, maybe they did. But either way, Tampa is a pretty bad first quarter team. They give up close to 7 points per first quarter, which isn't good. So maybe a slight edge to Green Bay scoring first. I don't know if you really want to factor that in. The Packers are a really good second quarter team. In their last 7 games, they've scored over an average of 12 points per second quarter. So getting in on a live first half money line or taking the Packers minus 2.5 first half, that has some appeal to me. I took the minus 3.5 first half last week, which worked out.
Yeah, it's, again, I mean, these are great teams. We know that I don't want to say it's a clash of styles per se. It's just, we know what Tampa is going to try to do, particularly defensively. They're going to take away that run, and then maybe they do have something to stop Aaron Rodgers, but no one stops him. On the other side, so we've got Antonio Brown is banged up. Game time decision, it looks like. Regardless of that, I mean, that will affect some things. You've got Godwin, 5.5 receptions, Fournette, 3.5, kind of like that, a little Gronk, maybe. How do you see Tampa trying to attack Green Bay?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? How's Tampa going to do this offensively? And, Green Bay's been pretty good against receivers, at least from a fantasy perspective, and not as good against running backs. So, excuse me. I'm kind of with you on Fournette, the way that he's been going, the way that they've been using him these 2 postseason games. He has 10 targets, 9 receptions. He's got at least 4 in both games. I kind of like Fournette receiving. He's also been getting the work on the ground, at least 17 carries in each game. So, if they need to try and keep this close. I think Fournette plays a role in that. Gronk is tough. 1 catch on 6 targets this postseason.
I know.
If Brown is out, Brady loves to force feed Antonio Brown for some reason. If Brown is out, maybe he looks to another guy that he has the history with and trusts in Gronk. I can't bring myself to bet a Gronk over right now. I just don't see it happening. And these guys have their connection and whatnot. Connecting 1 of 5 times last week against the Saints is doesn't show us much. Doesn't show us much is there. So For me on the Tampa side, this is, like I said, I'm Chiefs and Kelsey props. I'm Packers and Adams props. Those work together. It's hard to pick props on the losing side. But like the Josh Allen one, if I sneak that one in on the Tampa side, it would be something Fournette related. I don't know exactly what yet, probably receptions. But that's really the only spot I'm looking on Tampa.
Yeah, it's such a tricky. They've been a tricky team all year, and Chad just brought it up. Arians hates the tight ends for some reason. I don't know what. They're one of those teams where I never agree with kind of how they do things. So I'm naturally, it's nice when you kind of see eye to eye with the game plan and you can grasp it right. A lot of times with Tampa, I think they're going to do one thing and they employ a different strategy. It makes it a little difficult. How do we feel about the defense plus returner anytime TD parlay? I mean, you never know. The problem with the defense side is you've got quarterbacks, some of them at least, that really don't make mistakes.
I was going to say, I don't think Rodgers is making a mistake in this game. Brady maybe is due for one, but then you need it to be returned. Like, I don't want to bet on Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers making mistakes. They probably won't.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as well with them. So we'll have to see. I think the running back situation, certainly on the DFS side, we're going to have you covered, breaking it all down from ownership to projections. 2-game slate, but you know what? I say this every time. If you win the 2-game slate, it counts just as much as winning any other slate. You'll be quite happy. No one cares that it was this made-up slate. All right, a couple things, and then we're going to bounce on out of here. We've got plenty of shows coming up all day, from NBA to MMA. It's just, it never ends. And I do want to say, because MMA is going twice this week, we are running a special $2.57 weekly pass promo with the promo code Conor, as in Conor McGregor, CONOR. He's fighting in Fight Island against someone named Poirier. It's going to be wild. This is why you don't want to listen to me. You listen to Pete the Heat. You listen to Jason Floyd. They know what's going on. They tell you how, not even who's going to win, what type of choke. Oh, anaconda choke. I don't even know what that means, but we have people.
Good, because I want to bet on this, and McGregor's too expensive. So I need to find out if the McGregor under 2.5 rounds, if that's legit. I need to ask one of these guys so I can get a reasonable price.
Yes, that's what I need to do as well, because I don't know what I'm doing with that. I also want to say, Chad, as always, very important. We are getting there. We've got a couple weeks to the Super Bowl, but we're making progress. We are marching towards 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. Every show is doing their part. And the betting show, I know we've got a loyal fan base here. You guys are doing your part to hit that like button and press subscribe, hit the notification bell, because we're going to have some new shows unveiled. We got a lot of cool things coming up here. College basketball, March Madness will be here soon enough. All right, so let's just wrap this up here. I know you've kind of mentioned you're envisioning Chiefs Packers Super Bowl. Is that kind of how you see this going down?
Yes, give me the 2 home favorite 1 seeds. It's probably not going to go that way, but yes.
Okay. If you had to pick one of them to go down, which one do you think is more
Chiefs.
ripe for the Chiefs? Is that a product of the Bills more?
The Bills and the Mahomes factor, which again, I don't want to make a part of my handicap, but like it's there.
Yeah, it is. And listen, between now and Sunday, we're going to get a lot more information. Who's in, who's out. There's a couple guys, like I said, Edwards-Helaire, Antonio Brown, Breland in that secondary. I want to see what's going on outside Mahomes for different games, of course, but these little small edges will make a difference, not just on the DFS side. Other thing, of course, find us on Twitter. You've got Julian's handle right there, at Julian Edlow. He's dropping some real good plays, not just in college basketball, but in the NBA. Jazzraz DFS, if you want some golf takes, in addition to all the things we've already talked about. We're going to get on out of here.
So who's going down? You didn't make you're sneaking out without a pick. You're heavy on the Bills, so does that mean you think the Packers are going down?
Yes. I mean, I hope the Packers win the game. I'm going to be rooting for them. I'm worried just this Tampa team is got something going right now.
It does.
I hope it's Bills Packers very badly. And to me, I really do think it comes down to, I know this sounds ridiculous because we've talked about he doesn't make mistakes. I don't think that the Bucs will win if they don't win the turnover game. And I know that's a big ask. If Rodgers has a turnover or two, I think that will push it over. If he's clean again, as he's been, it's going to be hard to beat them up there. They have to make a play somehow. I hope they don't. That's what worries me. Can they, even just one, can they get the ball on a short field to put the pressure on?
If the Buffalo Bills get pounded by Tom Brady for 20 years and then finally get him out of the division and make it to the Super Bowl only to lose to Tom Brady, that will be the greatest troll job of all time.
Yeah, no, then this show will have someone else bringing it in each and every week with you, because I can't handle that. That would be just so cruel on so many levels. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But like I said, stay tuned. Plenty coming, and I don't even need to say this, but you guys know we are going to have a ton of Super Bowl coverage. We're going to have a lot of fun. Me and Julian will be involved with the whole crew. But on that note, we're going to bounce on out of here, set it up. NBA coming up next, Fast and Furious. Good luck today. Good luck this weekend. We'll talk to you guys soon.